Hey guys, welcome to Mad Scientist BBQ. I'm Jeremy Yoder, and today I'm giving you my review of my Pits and Spits Maverick 2000. First, let me give you some of my history with pellet smokers. I've owned two pellet smokers in the past. One was a Traeger I bought at the local Cabela's, and the other was a Pits and Spits Maverick 1250 that I had in California that unfortunately I had to sell before I moved to Kentucky. And my experience with those two couldn't have been much more different, because with the Maverick 1250, loved it, used it all the time, my wife could use it, it was great. With the Traeger, I constantly had problems with it. I don't know if it's because I got a cheap model, I don't know if it was just a lemon, I don't know if it's fair to judge all Traegers by that Traeger, but a lot of times the auger would kind of stop or the thing would just shut off, and it was just generally a pain. So I ended up giving that away, and I thought, well, if I'm going to use a pellet smoker, I want to use one that's really good. I had such a great experience with the Maverick 1250 in the past that I thought, you know, I had nothing really bad to say about that thing. Let me get another one. But when I went on the website, I looked at the 1250, and then I looked at the 2000, which is the larger model, and I thought, you know what? That 2000 looks really sweet. I'll get that. And then I also had the opportunity to cook on one when I was in Woodland, California with Naughty Wood Barbecue Company, and I loved it then. It worked flawlessly. It just did exactly what you want your pellet smoker to do. Kept consistent temperatures, just did everything right. So I knew it's gonna work well based on the experience with the 2000 that I used in the past and the 1250 that I owned in the past. I knew this is gonna be a good choice. Now, with a lot of smokers, there are companies that offer to send me a smoker and try it out, and I can provide feedback, I can use it for content, whatever. This was not one of those. This one is one where I spent my own money to get this thing because I knew this thing is an absolute beast. So here's a story that I've told before, but it might be relevant to you guys if you're thinking about purchasing one of these smokers. When I got the 1250, I had it loaded onto my truck at the barbecue HQ, and I went home and there was nobody else home, so I tried to unload it by myself, and the thing fell off the truck because I was a moron. That's not a good idea. Definitely get some help. But it fell off the truck and rolled partway down the hill, and I thought, well, that's the end of that smoker, because the other pellet smokers I'd seen in the past are super thin, sheet metal. I thought there's no way this thing's ever gonna work. But I flipped it right side up and plugged it in, and sure enough, it worked like a charm. And I thought, I like these people. They make good quality stuff. And then I had months of using it there. I used it very frequently, really enjoyed it. But the 2000 is even better than the 1250. Now, before we jump into looking at the individual aspects of this smoker, I have to tell you, it's on right now. I'm cooking 3 briskets on it right now, and it's not even anywhere close to capacity. We'll go over that in a minute, but if you hear the fan blowing in the background, that's why. Now, first off, let's talk about how it looks, because you see it before you ever get to cook on it. The looks aren't super important, but it's nice to have a pit that looks really good. And for my money, this thing looks great. I love the stainless steel lid. I mean, from a distance and close up, it's just a really good looking smoker. Another thing you can tell is that they pay attention to details, but I just like the fact that they used a wood handle with this stainless steel lid. It just looks so good. It makes me like it even more. Doesn't affect the cooking, but I just like it. All right, let's start with the hopper side here. First, this is where you would install the Wi-Fi module, so you could be at work, you can open the app, you can change the temperature of the smoker, you can get all the information that you could get by being right here from the app. So it's super convenient. So if you're like a lot of my subscribers and you're working 70 hours a week and you just don't have time to sit and manage a fire for 16 hours on a weekend because you're busy, you got stuff to do, this is a really convenient way to still get barbecue. It's awesome. Next, let's talk about the hopper itself. It is a big 35-pound hopper. And another just nice detail is they made a stainless steel lid for this. Again, not super important, but I just like it and I think it looks great. Anyway, it's 35 pounds of pellets you can put in there. So if you're gonna be gone at work for 14 hours one day, guess what? This has so many pellets in it, it's gonna run the entire time. Also, if you're not using the app to control your pellet smoker, which I don't particularly like to use it, but it's super intuitive to use this controller. It's got an up arrow and a down arrow for temperature, so you select the temperature that you want. When I come out here to use this thing, I hit the power button, I change to the temperature I want, and it does everything else for me. Super convenient. I know that's not a unique feature, but I don't like things that are overcomplicated and not super intuitive. This one is as intuitive as it gets. So if you're somebody who's not great with technology, this guy is gonna be a piece of cake to use. Next, let's talk about the shelf. First, it's stainless, which I really like. Again, looks good. Then it's got these 3 hooks for utensils that you want to use, and then another cool feature that I haven't really seen on any other smoker, it's got this little hook right here for paper towels. So As somebody who makes a mess all the time, I appreciate this one because you can put a roll of paper towels on there and you can clean as you go, which is something I have to do because I generally make a mess of everything. Moving over to the other side of the smoker, it's got these handles that make it really easy to move. So this thing is pretty heavy, especially for a pellet smoker because it's made out of thick steel, which I really, really like. Because generally, I don't like to buy things that I'm not convinced are gonna last for a long, long time. And for me, this thing's gonna last a long time, at least the physical shell of it. They're probably gonna do updates to the software that runs the thing and stuff like that. That's not what I mean. What I mean is the actual physical material that makes up the smoker. I want it to be rugged, I want it to be durable, and it's been proved to me with the last Pits and Spits smoker that I had that it is extremely durable, so much so that you can drop it from a truck, let it roll down a hill, and it still works. The only thing that was damaged, actually, because this is so thick and so sturdy, was this little cover for the smokestack. So they sent me a new cover, a buddy of mine riveted it in place, boom, no issues, looked like it was brand new, amazing. It's important to note though, that these handles really aren't that special. They're a convenient feature, but they would be absolutely worthless if it weren't for the next feature we're gonna highlight. I wanna thank NordVPN for sponsoring today's video. I spend a lot of time on the internet, both on my phone and on my computer, and it's important to me to maintain privacy, to have a secure internet connection so that hackers can't see what I'm doing on the internet. And as a pretty private person, I don't like other people knowing what I'm doing. That's why I really value NordVPN's strict no logs policy. They're not gonna track your data, they're not gonna allow anyone else to either. With over 5,000 servers, you can be confident that your internet data is secure. Another thing I really appreciate about NordVPN is that you can use it with just one click, and you can use it on multiple devices. So whether it's my phone, my iPad, my computer, I can be sure that I'm secure. A really cool side benefit of NordVPN is that the servers that they have in different countries allow you to access things that are maybe exclusive to that country. So, for instance, if you want to watch British Netflix, you can. If you want to watch German Netflix, you can. There are a lot of really cool things that allows you to do that you wouldn't be able to do with your regular internet access. So if you want to feel at ease when you're using the internet, go to nordvpn.com/madbbq because there's a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to lose, and the very best deal you're going to find is through YouTube. You get 2 years at a huge discount plus 1 additional month free if you go to nordvpn.com/madbbq. It's totally worth it for your peace of mind. That extremely important next feature is these oversized caster wheels. Now, I have a bunch of smokers here in the driveway, I have a bunch more in the backyard, I have other smokers in other places, and this is by far the easiest smoker to move around. A lot of the offsets I have casters, a couple have wagon wheels, none of them are even remotely as easy to move around on this driveway as this thing. It just goes wherever you want it to, it rolls easily, it's awesome. I love it. That might not be important if you're gonna put your smoker in one place and leave it there forever. But if you're like me, moving smokers around, shuffling and using one, then moving it out of the way, then using a different one, this is a super convenient feature. I absolutely love those caster wheels because I hate fighting against heavy smokers to try to get them to move 2 inches this way or 2 inches that way. This thing does exactly what I want it to. Also on this end of the smoker, we have a grease train, and it's a nice big ball valve. It does exactly what it's supposed to do. It's not fancy, but it never causes me any problems, so I like it. Then let's talk about the smokestack cover. That was the only part of the smoker that got damaged when I dropped it off the truck. One thing I noticed about this smoker versus the 1250 that I used to have is in the 1250, for some reason, there would always be this line of liquid that would start to drip down from the smokestack. I have no idea why. It always would happen. With the 2000, it doesn't happen. Of course, it doesn't affect performance, but I don't want to see my beautiful smoker out here, and I walk out and see this big black line of grease or whatever it is rolling down this beautiful stainless steel lid. So this one doesn't do it. I don't know if it was just my smoker or the pellets I was using at the time, but I know that it was happening with the 1250, has not happened once with this. It also could have something to do with the fact that I dropped the smoker off the truck and damaged the smokestack cover. I'm not sure. But with this one, it doesn't happen. And last thing about the stack here is the welds on here are beautiful. You can tell that the person who put this together was a skilled craftsman. It wasn't just a bunch of sheet metal bolted together by somebody who's as dumb about fabricating as I am. It's somebody who knows a heck of a lot more about it than I do. The last thing we're going to talk about before we actually open up the cook chamber is the rack on the bottom. It's nice and sturdy. It's covered in paint, so it's not going to rust. I have other smokers that have expanded metal racks on the bottom, and they've all rusted. This one, not even the first sign of rust. Of course, if the paint cracks, it will rust, but I just appreciate that they took the time to make sure that it's not going to rust out like some of the other smokers that I have. All right, let's see what we got going on inside. As you can see, I have 3 briskets in there right now, and there's room for a whole lot more. There's a third rack that I'll put in here in a second so you can see it, but you can probably do 8 briskets on the top 2 racks, and then you have this bottom grill rack. Because the diffuser plate is so heavy duty, you get a lot of radiant heat from it, so this works better for grilling than it does for smoking, but you have plenty of room for smoking on racks 2 and 3. Also, they have a really cool feature. They have a huge griddle that you can put inside. Now, I'm a huge fan of griddled hamburgers and stuff like that where you get just a tremendous sear on it. I have not used that yet, but that, like many of the other things here, is stainless steel, looks really nice, and I'll do a video on that in the future. But as with everything else in the smoker, all the stuff inside is heavy duty. So the metal is heavy duty here, the grates are heavy duty, they're gonna last a lifetime. I am just really, really happy about this. Let me get that other rack and let me get the griddle, and I can show you both of those. Okay, here is the third rack, and as you can see, I have not used it. Why? Because I haven't needed to, because I haven't cooked enough food yet that I'm needing all 3 racks. So, I mean, you could probably fit another 4 briskets on here, 8 briskets plus a bottom rack. That's a lot of space for a pellet grill. Then there's the griddle, which takes the place of kind of the grilling surface on the bottom if you want it to. And like everything else, very heavy duty. This probably weighs 25 pounds if I'm guessing. And then it's got a grease drain right here. So if you're cooking burgers, you don't have to worry about a bunch of grease pooling on this. It's gonna drain out the side and end up in the grease bucket, so you don't have to worry about it. Now it's important to note that this griddle is extra. But if you want a place where you can do like 30 smash burgers all at once, this is a pretty good option. So it does a lot of the stuff that you could do with, say, a Blackstone or something like that. And it's part of a grill or smoker that you already have. So all those reasons combine to make me really appreciate the versatility of this thing. One other feature I want to mention is that there's a trap door on the diffuser plate. So you can open the trap door and you get extremely hot direct heat grilling directly above that hole. So if you're reverse searing steaks, you can use that, but it's really only a 1 steak at a time type of thing. Now the last 2 things to talk about are how it cooks and the price. First, how it cooks. In my experience, pellet smokers do way, way, way better when you cook on the 2nd or 3rd shelf. This is the only pellet smoker I've known of with the 3rd shelf. But the barbecue characteristics there are extremely good. So you can cook it fat side up because it's far enough away from that diffuser plate that you avoid the radiant heat, and you can render the fat because the heat's gonna go up and around and hit the top of the brisket. It just cooks like I usually cook briskets. I really like it, and you get that separation, and you're mitigating that radiant heat, so it cooks more like a traditional low and slow barbecue. Now, a lot of times people have pellet smokers, and they'll send me a message saying, I followed your recipe on a pellet smoker, and my brisket was done in 4.5 hours. And then I say, did you put it on the bottom rack? And they say yes, almost inevitably. So that radiant heat makes a huge difference. And that low and slow process is part of what makes barbecue so good. It's part of what allows the collagen to break down and make gelatin. It's part of what allows the fat to render really well and the water to evaporate away, and so you get a really concentrated beef flavor in your final product. So the 2nd and 3rd racks are absolute money for barbecue. Now let's talk about the controller. This isn't a super duper fancy controller. It's pretty simple, but it's extremely effective. It's been around for a long time, and it just works. They have some new software to run the controller a little bit differently if you want it to do that, but I've had such great luck with this regular controller without changing any of the programming that I have been sticking with it. I haven't changed it at all because it provides me really good smoke flavor, really consistent temperatures. I don't have to worry about what the smoker's doing. And then the last thing I want to talk about in terms of performance is the fuel use. So this is a big cook chamber, especially for a pellet smoker. But because the metal is so thick, it really retains heat well, and it doesn't really use any more pellets than the little Traeger I had that I got at Cabela's. Let's move on to price. This thing is not cheap, and it really kind of stung when I had to fork over the money to buy this thing, because I'm a buy once, cry once type of guy. So I thought, I know that if I get this thing, it's gonna last forever. I'm gonna be happy with it. It's gonna do exactly what I need it to do. And so far it has, and I expect it to continue to do so for years into the future. But the base price on this is $3,500. I think it's $34.99. And then when you include the accessories and stuff, you're looking at $4,000 plus. So it's worth it to me to have something with this kind of capacity and that I can rely on to cook exactly the same way each and every time. To be clear, if you're a buy once, cry once type of guy or gal, this could be a great choice. But generally speaking, if you don't really know if you love barbecue, if you just want to, dip your toes into the water and see if it's fun for you, this might not be the right choice because this isn't an entry-level model. In my opinion, this is like the Rolls-Royce of smokers. So it's expensive, but once you get it, you're gonna be satisfied with it and you're gonna enjoy it. I hope you enjoy it as much as I've enjoyed mine. Another cool hack is a lot of times if I'm cooking something on an offset, once I've wrapped it, I can just throw it on the pellet smoker and then not have to worry about managing a fire just to maintain heat. It also saves wood. So it's useful to me in a number of different ways, and I hope this review has been helpful for you to kind of point out the things that are good, the things that you might not like about this smoker in particular. I had a lot of people asking about it, so I thought I might as well do a review on it so you guys can see kind of generally how it operates and get my opinion on how it's worked for me. As you guys know, there are a lot of pellet smokers out there. I've used a handful of different pellet smokers at various times. I'm not saying I know everything about every pellet smoker. I'm not saying that this is for sure the best, but it's the one that I spent my money on, and it's the one that I trust to make barbecue the way that I want. So when comparing it to Green Mountain Grills, Pit Boss, etc., 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 this is the one that I thought was worth the dollars because, like I said, it's not cheap, but I'm totally happy with this purchase. So those are my thoughts on this pellet grill. Like I said, I don't know everything about pellet grills. There might be some that are better. I know that there are a lot that are worse, but let me know what kind of pellet grill you are using and let me know in the comments how it's worked for you. So you might say, I have a Traeger and it's been awesome, or I have brand X and it's been terrible. I've never gotten it to work. All that information helps me better accurately understand the world of pellet smokers and how I can best adapt recipes for people who are using them. Now, if this video is helpful to you, hit the like button down below and please subscribe to the channel. Also, you can follow me on Patreon if you want to enter the contest to win things like the Franklin smoker. We've given away a Weber smoke fire. We've given away a 250 quart Yeti cooler. We give away aprons. We give away Wagyu briskets, a bunch of awesome stuff. Check that out. You can also follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Mad Scientist BBQ. I'll see you guys next time.